Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor Lui Nishma Sam Yaakov Shalom Le'Abbas Yitzchok. We're holding Metzia Daf Kuf Yud Beis. We went ahead yesterday into the Amud just to finish the Sugya. So we got to the two dots, which is about, I would say, a third down the page. When the two dots down in Mosai is Man Shetovoi Loi Tovoi Eino Iver. That's what we're holding. Where it says that we're talking about that he demanded him, meaning that the Sachir. What are we talking about? Talking about someone doesn't pay the worker immediately. You have a din to pay the worker immediately. But that's only if the worker demanding the money. If you not demand the money, that's not what you're talking about. Says the Gemara, you're not allowed to keep by you Pula. You should give it that night. If you didn't demand. In other words, not knowingly. He comes to you, I want the money. You say no. This is very important. What happens if the guy doesn't have money? He works for him, comes to sorry, I don't have. If the Isser is only if you could pay, you didn't pay. But if you can't pay, maybe there's a different problem of telling that you could pay when you can't. But mitzad, the hilcha is baltol, and you know baltol. We saw in the Mishnah, he gave him credit by a grocer. He said, you know what, I'm not going to pay you the money. You're going to go to the grocer, get the money. That's fine. He gave him credit by a grocer, by a baker, he's not over. Says the Gemara, does it go back or does it not go back? What does it mean goes back or does not go back? So Taitis brings over here two main pshatim. There's a third pshat. Two main pshatim is. Pshat number one is, once the agreement was that I'm paying you with the credit of the grocer, you don't go back to me. Go to the grocer. Now, grocer doesn't want to pay, you go to VAT. You go demand it. I'm not responsible anymore to pay for you. Right? Now, Toys goes on to discuss, was it a Kenyan? Not a Kenyan. Is a Mechila Baal pay work? Where did he give up on the right thing for him the money? That's part of the very long Toys that we have over here on the left. But that's this first shot. Now, that's also Mashmos the Chorim Rashi. Toys didn't bring another shot. Second shot is, of course, you could go back and take the money from the Baal Bais. But the shaila is when you go back, do you have an Yisur Baal Toli? We said if the guy is working by the Baal Bais, and he says, okay, I owe you $100. So let's say he worked during the night, the next day he has to pay him. But he says, you know what? I'm not giving you $100. Go to the grocer. Goes to the grocer. You have a week to collect credit. Tries to take it, the grocer's not giving it to him. So he comes back to him afterwards. He says, about 1 second, I want to go back to you. Okay? Of course you can go back to me. But do I have now Baltolin? Or no, Baltolin is only that first time. That's the question according to the second Shat thesis. Says the Gemara, Rav Sheish Zol Ma'yin Choyzer. For Rabbo, Ma Choyzer. Chalekes. She says he doesn't go back. I mean, there's no Baltolin. And according to the first shot, that he cannot go back to Al-Bais because he gave up on that right. Rabbi says he goes back. How do you know that? There's no Aveira of Baltolin. So, according to Rabbi Bishad, there's no Baltolin, but you can still demand the money from him. According to the second shot, there's no Baltolin right now, because right now he goes to the other one. But once he goes back, there will be Baltolin. There's no such thing. You don't even the Shaykh's lavers. Either you can't go back at all, or you don't have Baltolin. What many have sheshes? Kablanus over Allah mishumatolin or aino over olov or aino over mishumatolin. What's a kablanus? Kablanus means you give a person a certain job to do. It's not that he's paying him by the hour. He gives him a job to go fix a shoe. He gives him a job to go and weave a clothing. It's about tolling that. What's a shayla? Depend on. Umon koine b'shrachli valvoi. Do you say that the Uman, the one who's working, he's koine, that's his right now. In other words, I'm coming, when I give you a shoe to fix, when your fix is your shoe. I have the right to take it back. So I have to pay you back for that. That's the law. I owe you the money. Or you say, no, it's not Uman Krivishvachli. So you have to pay me for my work. Only Sheish is Oiver. You're Oiver. In other words, uman is not koine. So the more also shimcho tzechelvodi v'tzeshchonai. There we talk about no, he's not over if he gave him credit, like we saw in our Mishnah. So when name is Al Raya, Noisin, Tolis, the Uman, person gives clothing to the woman to work on. Come, we finished. Voidir, he announced it. He said it's finished. Until he didn't take the clothing, he's not a Shabbat Olim. Once he gave it to him during the day, once the day is finished, he's over the Isra. So here's a Raya, you're not koine. I'm not married breed of Kano. This week, if you remember, we had the Sugim of Kamo. Begardo de Sarvalo. What is Gardo de Sarvalo? That means that he's giving him, Gardo de Sarvalo is basically ironing the clothing. And the Rashi understands that didn't really give any benefit for the clean. So 1 second, why? But what did he give it to? He gave it to make it soft. Hair is the shvach. It was a thick, heavy piece of clothing. He made it soft. So what he did not hire him to make it soft. He hired him to hit it or to press it. If I have a pressing, he gives him $1. He's hiring for the work, not for the result. Kabbalah is always for the result. So you say, you need to give it back to me, till then I'm koine. If I'm not giving it to you, I'm just hiring you as a worker to do for me a thing, then it's not considered to be a uman, and then it's a regular sachish. For sure you have a din of Baal Tol. Right, okay. So Rashi says, because ben yishbiach lo yishbiach, you pay him for the amount of the pressings. So the Gemara of Kuf Yud Beis, and we're based on top. Sochir bezmano nishbo v'noitel. As Sochir, when it's his time, he comes and does a shvur. Mishnah said, if it's not his time, he can't. And let's see. Since it was Sochir, might the kindle rabbanon l'mishma v'shochir. Why he does a shvur? What's the problem with the shvur? Usually a shvur, who does the shvur? The one who's keeping the money. Always the rule is that the shvur is something that goes to the person who's being demanded for money. He gets the shvur. He's asked for he said, pay me money. No, I'm nishba. Here you're giving the shvur to the plaintiff, to the sachir. Why? Says the Gemara, halacha is kedoi lo shonakon. He said big halachas over here. Halacha mishma halacha b'shbesinai. Say mo'ani yichasadinu ani takanos here. It's not halacha, it's a din derabbanan. Elo ma v'yudom hashmuel takanos kedoi lo shonakon. Big takanos. Says the Gemara, kedoi lo is mechal dike ktanos. There's a big one, a small one. What do you mean? Everything that Chacham is saying is something big. Not the konos, it's kvuos. Meaning, Rashi says, to be doraisa, it's a good thing to take away the doraisa. Kvuos to be kvedet. Shanuka. Shvur de balabais. It's really shvur balabais to say, I don't owe money. They took him in balabais, put on the sochir. Why? Mishuk they have the sochir. The sochir needs a livelihood, so he can even come and demand his money. So the Gemara, Mishuk they have the sochir of Sadana the balabais. What do you mean? Balabais can come and do a shvur. That's in the rice. He say no. I want the sochir to do it. Why? So he doesn't lose. So because he doesn't lose, you take away the right of the balabais. So the balabais gufe nichele the mishtab sochir v'shochir. The Ba'abais wants it. Why? He wants workers to come work for him. If you're going to tell him that if workers cannot demand their money and they don't have a way to do it, nobody's going to work for him. So he's happy with it. So then 1 second. So what about the opposite? The opposite svar. A worker is preferring the Ba'abais to do it, not him. Because if he's going to be known to be a plaintiff who goes and takes money from the Balabati, nobody's going to want to hire him. He's a troublemaker. So the same far you have a Balabais, what's required to contain, the prior wants to be hired. So what about Balabais? Al Korche Ogar. He said, no, Balabais needs workers. At the end of the day, you need workers. So you want Sochinai Bal Korche Isgar. Okay, so, but the worker needs a job. So it goes both ways. So more Ella, the Gemara changes everything in the theme that we said till now. It says the Gemara, we mentioned it a few times. Balabai, we saw it earlier, Balabais Tarut Bepoyalim. Balabais is too busy. He has many workers. He doesn't remember who he paid or didn't pay. So Rabbanan said that that's why you have to give the shmut to the poyel, because we know the Balabais is not so focused. He's not so concentrated. He has many workers. And therefore, he needs the poyel to be the one who's doing the shul. So then, if that's the case, yachi nesile below shul. So give without a shul. If you hold the balabais is to preoccupy, doesn't know, give without a shul. Says the one get the fix daitush balabais. Just the balabais calm, they not mamish like was able to extract from money no din. So that's what we give it to him. Taisa says, what's the question? When you want to tell me the poyel can every time just say, I want money, give me money? Not a slave. Any poyel is going to come, oh, you owe me money. He pays him, you owe me money. No shvur, no nothing. How can it be? So he says that if you look at Rosh Hashanah, if you shloim the near the Gemara, that Tarakal Mechzakile Bevode Shochach. Tells about Iyachi. The shloim is like 3 lines from the Baal Tesis. So he says, the near Gemara Tarakal Mechzakile Bevode Shochach. Voime Ein Yudea. So he goes on to say that if the Balabais would completely deny it, then he's chayav. So that tells me that he's considered to be like a boy that makes us. I hired you, but I didn't pay you. I hired you, but I paid you. I admit that I hired you, but I paid you. So it's like a boy that makes us that day. So you have to pay.
Why is that going to make sense to all of us?
It's not a boy makes sense. It's like ki'ilu.
Why is it ki'ilu? Somebody goes to Alba, said I lend you money.
And so the guy said, I borrowed, but I paid back.
And neither has anything, so...
No, that's called a moide. You have to pay for it.
Why?
When a person says, I know I borrowed, but I never paid, I don't know if I don't know if I paid back.
I don't know, there's a difference.
So here today says it's similar to I don't know, because Bava says it's so preoccupied, he doesn't really know. So when he says, I know I had you, but I paid you back, when he says I paid you back, he's not sure. And therefore, we don't rely on it. Says the Gemara, you know what? I have a better solution. Just make sure whenever you pay me, have Eidim. It's too much of a headache to go every time you have to hire someone to get Eidim to see it. I have a better solution. Pay the worker before he starts working. Before the worker starts, you work.
Don't you have to, it's not a migoy, but would a pile give back the merchandise without getting paid? If you give something to a pile.
No, I'm not talking about a pile, I'm talking about a worker's working in your house. He comes, he's painting your house.
Well, there's the whole thing. What happens, somebody hires a worker, not hired, but they paid you. It's on the person who hires them to prove that he paid them. Otherwise,
that's our Gemara. That's what I'm just talking about. So a regular worker comes and says, you didn't pay me, you believe the worker.
Well,
and therefore the Chazal Misakin.
When he says he paid you bisman.
Oh, so that's a Gemara. So right now the Gemara says if you have a worker comes, you believe it. Because the Balabais is too preoccupied. He's stuck. Therefore, with his shvur, he's nem. The Gemara tried to find all the solution. Give him Nesli Mikar payment in advance. Shtem Reitzi Bakov. They both want to have to do. They don't want to pay in advance. The Balabais sometimes doesn't have cash, and the pearl doesn't want to take cash in his pocket. Yachi, I feel kotas nami. Oh, so if he gave him a specific amount, he made up with him. I'm giving you $100. That's going to be the work. So also, Alamotani, why did we learn it right? So Umon Oimer Stein Katzatzali, Faloimer look at Tzatzachelachas, I went to the Rayo. Mean Legabi Ktitzo, when you have a certain amount, if the worker says you said you're going to pay me more, and he says I'll pay you less, you believe the advice. Why? The guy's Torah doesn't remember. So the more Ktitzo Vadai Mit, what's that? Ktitzo Vadai Mit Kotche relationship. So no, people don't remember exactly I pay or not pay. But when I made up with you, people remember. Says the Gemara, Yachi, I feel over his vananam. It's also after that time. Why did we learn earlier? Why do you say after the time there's no you don't do shul? Says the Gemara, Chazaka in Balabais over Mishum Baltolim. Chazaka, the Balabais will make sure not to be over Baltolim. He probably paid him. Balabais told poor Elf. He said the Balabais is Torah. Says the Gemara, before it comes a time, he doesn't really recall the guy came for the money, he didn't give him the money. But once the Zman Chiyuv came, Rami and Nafshei Umitke, he's going to put it on himself doesn't want to be over an Aveira, make sure to pay. So more of a chisochi or even mishubal tigzon. What do you mean?
You're saying
Chazok, you want to tell me the poil was lying, is willing to steal? You see, the only reason about bias I'm trusting and they probably paid doesn't want to be over Aveira. But the poil, if you don't trust, if you don't trust, if the same as far goes, the poil is not going to do an Aveira. So also three chazok, there's two chazokas. One, there's no Ivur Baal. Another thing is the worker will not leave without taking his money. The worker asks the money right away. So it comes out now after the time. It comes out 2 days later. Comes the prayer that says you didn't pay me. He says, of course I paid you. So first of all, you have a chazaka that you won't be Ivur Baal. Second, the sochi probably asks for the money. You have a chazaka, the guy's not going to steal, but it's only one against two. So therefore you trust with the Baal Bais after the time. But before the time is passed, so you don't have Baal Tov. So the only thing you have is that maybe the Sochi would not leave without asking. Connected that you have a chazaka of Gezel, it's chazaka, and therefore you stay back to the original state where you trust the shmuel of the prayer.
It doesn't go back to why chazaka helps to give somebody. Is it the manas to chazak, or it's...
In this case, this chazaka is a portion of the manas. Because that chazaka, it's not chazaka mikaru. It's not chazaka, it's not a nikud.
It's chazaka.
Yeah, chazaka is how people act. How people act. Chazaka how people act. Says the Gemara, Mesh Eidim Shetovo Yareze Nishba V'Noitim. So, if there are people that say that he did Tovia, so he takes a shvur. So the more of a Katova L'Kava, what do you mean? There's Eidim that saw in Tovia. You're right nice, Tovia right in front of him. Oh, there's Eidim that asked for the money. He just asked for the money. So Alma Avasi Shetovo Yibizman. Try it like this. He came and asked for the money all the time. He says, where's my money? And he didn't, and he says, I pay you. Then he comes 2 days later and he says, where I know the one stands, says, pay me, the same time. So maybe in the meantime he paid. He came in time, he said, I paid. Then there was 2 days that passed in the middle, maybe he paid. Meaning he was Tiveya the entire time. Until he was over. In other words, there was no period for him to be paid. What's the svar? I don't want the Baal Bais to be over about Toli. He was give me my money, give me my money, give me my money, give me my money, and it comes till the end of the day, it's finished. Says the Gemara, Velo Oilo. What does Oilo mean? So Rashi, Bitmio, Bishul Shetovi Kol Hayoim Velo Nasani Yesachir Zeneman Loilo Lomay Loit Kabalti. Yes, you know, he was over about Toli. Maybe we know. But we know also there's another issue about Tasha. In the beginning of the Sugyo, a person who's waiting and doesn't pay, even after he's over about Toli, and he's still over about Tasha. So this guy came to him, and for 12 hours he was nudging and pay me, he didn't pay. Now past the week, maybe he paid in the middle. Because he was not nice at the beginning, it means he didn't pay afterwards. So the Gemara, Omar Rav Chama bar Ukvo, Keneged Oisoi Hayoim Shel Tviyah, which means he has only 1 day. In other words, if throughout the day he came to give me payment, and the person, we have Eidim, is over about Toli, was not willing to do it. So then you give him another 24 hours, where I assume that he probably didn't pay. He's right now in that mood, he's not paying, and if the Poel does a shua, I trust him. After 24 hours, now the Baal Bais has back his Nemanos that he probably paid. Toyitz says over here, in the Veloilom, he brings the Rashi, and he says, he says, what does Rashi say? Maybe he's not over Baltasha, yeah, but we know he's Avayu. We know he's over Baltali. If you tell me a guy is a tzaddik, he tries as much as possible not to be over Aver, it's okay. But this guy who's over Aver, me do right, so Baltoli. The Baltasha is not the right. So he was over too. Right? So he says no. This is Tosis, if you look at the last line, the first white line of Tosis. Elahachi Perusho. It's not a good takana. You're right. The Poyel has some power to say the Baal Bais is lying. But they give him an endless power. He can say forever, Parali, that's something that's not a good takana. Not because the Baal Bais probably did it. But it's no limit. You're basically opening the gates, the floodgates, for Tvias with no safe. So therefore, we say no, you have a time limit. The time limit is you have 1 more day. Although we should have different perusha, what does it mean? But that's what you have, and Imele, that is the only time he has tefillah after this man. Beseder. So we'll stop over here.